So, Conway's Game of Life is a little simulation from like the 60s or 70s. A guy figured out that with like only 2 or 3 rules, you can create these little cellular constructs that evolve and change. And
Good programming thing.
It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a great programming exercise. Yeah, it's leveraging emergence from a small set of rules.
Yeah, it shows you that complex systems can arise from simple rules.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. Conway's Game of Life, but this paper, I mean, leveraging a bunch of, or not a bunch, but a small set of rules on how to optimize plans based on new input.
Yeah, I keep leaning in that direction. Every time I get really big and elaborate with my prompts and stuff like that, it falls apart. But the more clear, concise, and small that I get, the more I can execute a specific function, and then like actually get better results. Oh shit, I didn't even tell you guys. I had like a really interesting thing happen this week when I was working on this chatbot thing. I was trying to get to basically list things off one at a time and ask questions like one after the other, as opposed to trying to like bombard you with a bunch of them. And it just was not cooperating. So what I did is I built a state machine, and then I had a persona prompt that was persistent, and then I would swap in the task that it was doing dynamically as it was performing the tasks, and then have it self-evaluate if it complete the tasks, and then when it completes the tasks, it advances the state machine, and then the next task gets swapped in, and then I completely reset the context. And I tell it that, oh, you just finished doing this, but here's your new context, so it can refocus. And fuck me, did that ever work really well.
You got the code line around for that somewhere?
No, I can't. I can make a new version of it, but I can't share that code.
Okay.
I have. I just finished writing a state machine in Python and in JavaScript as well, so I can. I should have maybe something done by the end of the night as we're talking. But like it was like you know, like how like Gorilla like hot swaps models out and shit, or Olama. I mean.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like that, but like without having to use the memory.
Hot swaps models out like
because I'm hot swapping the context of it, and I keep the context really narrow.
So you're hot swapping the context into different models?
Dancing around the idea of short-term versus long-term memory.
I guess that makes sense. Because the context windows considered as memory because they're really not. It's like quasi memory. But I guess I keep doing that thing where I fight against something because I don't like it, and then I realize that I get better results if I stop fighting against it.
There you go.
Well, it's just the context window is all that the LLM can perceive, right? So it has to have both the short and the long-term memory.
Yeah, well, I want to give it a like dynamically flowing and persistent in time context memory, but like that's a pipe dream. So like,
well,
is it though?
How much did you look into MemGPT? Because that's more or less kind of what they do.
GPT?
MemGPT?
MemGPT, I think he said.
Oh, MemGPT. Yeah, but that's like sort of like it's like a augmented RAG basically. I want like inference running at the same time as training at the same time as like I don't know how you do it. I was thinking like maybe you could stagger the model or the systems that are running inference and have it run on like 5 GPUs or something stupid, and then like rotate them continuously and give it some kind of a clock or something. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't really. It's like gonna require so much work that I haven't even really put a lot of thought into it.
Well, I would just think like
small batch training, right? 2 parallel models, small batch train, update the other one while you do inference on the one that you just trained.
Or like
true. And
what's
dynamically do that?
What's training giving you that RAG won't there?
I want it. Well, I guess it's probably not even training, and honestly, RAG is probably better at it. But like, I want it to be able to intrinsically learn things. Like if it like I don't know had a conversation with me about like ducks like 25 minutes ago, I want to be able to come back and like for it to just remember that it had done that. Like I wanted to have like real memory basically.
Well, yeah, I
That's
kind of what.
I think you want rag there. Like, I don't think you want to train.
No, but it's Rag's like a quasi memory. I want a memory system that doesn't use the context window because I want to use the context window for something else.
You want a memory
And
system
also
that
you
doesn't
get more
use the context
like
window at all.
transference if you actually update the weights.
I basically just want a different. I want another way to give it memory, basically. That's neither fine training or context, but I have no idea what it is.
We could dig into all my research that I did on Gen Agents and see if that has any ideas on how they were building tree and leaf nodes and what I was coming up with vector databases, knowledge graphs, but that still might be in the context window.
It's all
still in the context window.
I don't know why. I honestly I don't know what it is about the context window, but for some reason I just don't think of it as memory. Like it just doesn't strike me because it isn't. It's like it's still stuck in that state of like it doesn't have persistence in time. It can't like experience things because every time it turns on, it's like it's reset from the same position. It's like the dude in Memento. Like he just like writes notes to himself to fucking tell him what he's doing and tries to fake it.
Have you read about split brain patients yet, Baco?
Sorry, I turned you down. What was that?
Have you read about split brain patients yet?
No.
You should go read about split brain patients and how the left brain acts when it's deconnected from the right brain, because it's very similar to a language model and how it works. Because it will just make up context like hallucinations and a bunch of other stuff. And so
I want to know what the fundamental
if you-
difference is between the neural nets and human brains. Like why can we experience time and why can't they?
Because they don't update in real time. We do update in real time.
And then what does updating in real time look like then? That's what I want to know.
Changing the weights between connections.
And that's why I was thinking continuous. That's why I was thinking continuous inference. But then everybody's like, "Oh yeah, but they're not going to learn the way that you think you're going to learn," which is true, I think.
Well, yeah, it's because that also the human brain has a lot of internal structure that doesn't exist in an LLM.
Yeah.
Well, like yes, there's internal structure, but it's not nearly as complicated.
Complex,
it's not nearly as there's
but I want to build
dedicated parts of the human brain.
I want to make an alien so I can talk to it.
Right.
Yeah, but the basic thing is like the more we do, like think of it this way: it's kind of like how the Russians built nuclear bombs by smashing plutonium together on like camera tripods with C4, basically. And just like getting it to work. It's like America built like multi-million-dollar electron colliders to like put tiny pieces together and make explosions. And it's like the more you can do with the wrong.
We definitely just use TNT to launch bits of uranium into each other.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, the more you can do the wrong way already, like, and the more you can achieve the wrong way, when you get access to the right tools, the more you can do. So, like, forcing the LLMs to be so much better than like or as close to a biological neural net as we can, or like not just the LLM, but the cog arcs around them as well. That when we suddenly like find a way to upgrade these systems into like some sort of semi-biological thing that can like heal and grow, like having fungus growing on the circuit boards or something, like that suddenly becomes even more interesting.
I think I had a conversation about something like this with ChatGPT because I read, there was a couple of things it was from Pro Social, and it was a couple of links that somebody dropped with regards to, ONNs, and, the behavior with regards to brain stuff. I gotta see if I can find it or find the conversation, one of the two. But I guess like the way that I was thinking about it is, so the dynamic reweighting. Can I like search through my GPT conversations?
You can't search through them. I really wish you fucking could, though.
Really annoying. The dynamic reweighting process that that like we propose to is the way that human brains work, because obviously none of us really know how that works. But the an ONN will do that. It'll adapt dynamically to the information that it's processing. So I had a
Yeah, I've heard about OLNs.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it here. I had a conversation with GPT about what if we took the ONN and we had that basically we took an LLM and we took an ONN and we just smashed them together. Like we had the ONN do some sort of selection process that influenced the generation of what the LLM was going to be predicting. And if we would get like a more dynamic system that way that could actually like learn stuff rather than only in context learning, which maybe doesn't qualify as actually learning things, but
well, this is similar to what I was proposing by like putting together an LLM again and a reinforcement learning system.
Yeah, I feel like different models would be good for like different things. Yeah.
Because, like, honestly, the way the brain works is not just any one system, right? It's going to be a bunch of different modules that are doing what we've already built. Because, like, the way I think about this, that, like, the computer scientists and the computer engineers don't think of because they've pigeonholed themselves, because they branched off from their root base, which was cybernetics, which, like, a massive amount of psychology also branched out of, which is that the human brain
and
is.
then you got totally locked into.
Well, what we've done is like every single thing we've ever built as human beings, we haven't created something new. We've extruded a part of the human brain,
right,
essentially.
okay.
Like so like then the more of these things that we've extruded that we put back together, the more complex network we're going to have that operates closer to the real thing. And I think the guy that probably ever extruded the most information at one time was Claude Shannon when he used binary as the language to extrude his own logic process internally that he was observing through his internal state emulations into the digital information theory that enabled all of our modern technology, like compact discs and everything else. Because like most people don't.
I mean,
it
really makes sense when you like. It's not like he just came up with it.
You know, make a thread in general, or we can just
surprise
dump
and then...
everything. But I found the link and the summary of what we were talking about. What I would originally, actually, context. You can finish if you were in the middle of something. I just found my link, so.
Yeah. Well, just Claude Shannon entropy, right? Is like it's a measure of it's built off of what this thing called surprise, right? So like if you take the logarithm of the probability of a thing happening, right, then your surprise is 0 when that thing is 1, or the inverse of so 1 over the probability of something happening, the logarithm of that will be a measure from 0 to 1, where 1 is the most surprising thing possible and 0 is the least surprising thing possible, right? And then once you have that little, function, it's just a mathematical function, right? You can just build it. Then when you derive entropy, right, it happens to look quite a bit like thermodynamic entropy. And
oh no, thermodynamics.
That happens to be a fantastic measure for how much information is in a signal, right? So I've been doing this actually sort of segues into I wanted to share a paper too. So you're talking about different ways that neural nets.
Oh, I remember seeing that. I think
like fitting different types of neural nets together. This paper is the autoformer. It's basically it takes a transformer model and switches out the attention mechanism for autocorrelation and uses it to predict time series signals.
Can you explain those last 5 words in like 15-year-old English.
Takes the attention mechanism from a transformer network, right? So the attention mechanism is a considerably harder to compute, by the way, way to basically it turns off different parts of the signal, right, based on what the current input is. So like if you give it a whole long context, it'll turn off parts of that context based on what it's been trained on in the past, so it knows what to pay attention to. And if you put a whole bunch of these transformers next to each other, right, and feed them all different training, you break up the training data as it goes in, and it's a whole, there's an encoder decoder mechanism. But
something backpropagation.
they learn to pay attention to different parts of text. But it's not just text. You can do it on any sequence.
Something back. Sorry.
Absolutely.
That's such a beauty.
You could do it on any sequence. So instead of feeding them text, they feed them just time series data. So like consider like market data or a radio signal.
I didn't understand
But
this
instead
when I,
of
first
using-
when I first heard the term. To clarify, time series data is any data that you collect that has a time associated with it. So if I collect 2 now and 2 later, then it's time series data. If I collect 2 instances of 2 without a time associated with them, it is not time series data. FYI.
Well, it's just an ordering.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 1D signal. That's how they describe it as well. Like, something that
Right,
just occurs
exactly.
over one dimension. Like, so just to, I don't know if this helps.
It has a one-dimension index.
I don't know if
Like
this
you can
helps to
collect-
clarify, like the whole attention thing. Like, attention is the core mechanism behind transformers, and like the macro level understanding, like the idiot level of understanding that I have, like, is that it's just the mechanism that attends to tokens in parallel. So we used to have recurrent neural networks that to have recurrent neural networks that were like dependent on last state. So you'd be constantly feeding in like the last, like say token or whatever, and then predicting the next token. But now with the attention mechanism, it's a very, very clever way of using so the core mechanisms are like you've got like queries, keys, and values, and with like these 3 core things, K, Q, and V, you've got this like mad linear algebra like expression that allows you to like attend to tokens in a massively parallel way, and that's why transformers are so powerful at the moment, is that they're able to look at all of the tokens in parallel in one like sort of big chunk. So the context is usually like a square window, like is usually like a power of 2 window. So like usually a square thing just to allow someone's recording me.
No,
it's
I
usually
just
a
turned my
square
stream
window.
on, so people
All
can
right.
see the, I don't know, random shit I'm googling while we talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so like the query key value thing, like the whole like crux of tech transformers, why they're so fucking cool, why they're so amazing, is because we can do this in massively parallel operations. So like our power of 2s relates to like the matrix sizes that these like context windows can see at one time. So yeah, like
So
I don't know. Carry on. I'll just fucking thing.
yeah,
like,
that was perfect. I just pulled up the attention is all you need paper. I just wanted to read the
Classics.
starting line of the attention. An attention function can be described as mapping a query and a set of key value pairs to an output, right? So the query and the set of key value pairs, the key value pairs come from the encoder model and the query comes from the input. And then you map it to the values with a softmax. And that outputs a vector of your values, which are the weights from the previous layer. But it turns off some of those weights, and that's how it gets from the square input matrix that you're talking about to an attention onto those values, right? So the keys are the. Let me just send the. Anyway, I kind of wanted to point out that you can do the same sort of thing, right? Where you turn off parts of your signal with other functions in addition to just attention to get a different kind of learning. But all the other architecture is the same. So they're compatible for one. Like if you think of like the LLM as the LLM as the language center of a brain, right? Well, the brain have just language centers, right? It also has a 3D spatial mapping, right? That's how we move around. And it has predictive, predictions based on past experiences, right? In time, not just in arbitrary text sequence. I just think that going back to what you were saying earlier about I really should have written a lot more of this down.
No, I get you. There's one part of the research that suggests so the way that you mask some of the like the square identities, so we don't need to attend to every single token in this mask. You can so the square matrix is what it all comes down to, and you're trying to minimize the amount of compute to attend to these tokens. So people have invented quite interesting optimization techniques around the functions used, like you say, to attend to tokens, to attend to the how you switch off the surrounding things and give precedent to them.
So what's cool about this one is that it just uses fast Fourier transform.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. No, it's something that I've really been intrigued with. So you can speed up the convolutional computations with using fast Fourier transform. So every convolution can be expressed in the frequency domain, as a multiplication. So it's a really quick way of doing matrix multiplication convolutions. So this is what one of the optimizations that I've been quite curious about. Can you rewrite entire fucking neural network frameworks with fucking fast Fourier transform? That's one of the things I've been asking ChatGPT about it. I'm like, tell me how to do this, motherfucker.
Read this paper. I think you'll probably get a lot out of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, it's I didn't feel like I had any grasp on the attention mechanism actually until I read this and had it compared to just autocorrelation.
When you say this, are you talking about attention?
And obviously, I still don't have the best grasp of it.
There was a hot minute there. There was a hot minute there where they had an animation for its attention mask, and then they got rid of it. I was very upset. So when you got it to scan a document, you could see all 15 of the attention heads fucking going back and forth across the text document. It looked like fucking some sci-fi shit. It was cool.
That's interesting. There's a couple of papers there's a couple of visualizations in papers that you might get off on if that's what you're interested in. There's a couple of interactive ones where I was just like, right, you can see the associations between one word and the branches off between the next word predictions. Oh right, that's what it's actually thinking internally.
Cool. Is this man gonna give me a fucking animation? I don't think he is. Rip. Cringe.
There's lots of suggestions that like you don't need multiple heads as well. You can just like one head is all you need, or like you don't need multiple heads. Like
I feel like at
just
least
one.
Managing a
two, because
project
otherwise
in
you can't
Jira can come
leap
with a ton
around
of
the
what ifs.
document. Like you can't.
What if
They have to think so linearly
tired
that
of
like
updating
you have to
packages because
you'd
of
have to
changing
change the
metadata?
syntax of like English to be able to effectively communicate with them.
To be honest, I don't actually know what the heads are actually doing. Are they? Is that what they're doing? They're literally just scanning
They're processing tokens. So
That's what it does. Is it masks the embeddings of the tokens that you put into it?
yeah, so like if you
key-
take a paragraph, it's like taking like the first word, the last word, and then like 5 words in the middle of it, and then processes all those at once, and then it grabs another 5 words random, like they're not randomly, but there's like an equation that like sort of moves it around so it clears out the whole paragraph. And then grabs those words, and then moves again, and then grabs those words, and then eventually the whole thing is gone.
I think you might have spoken a little bit too quick for me.
Sorry. So like if you, yeah, I'll show you. Like, how do I? You know what? I'm gonna ask Jippity to give me a visualization. I bet you he can do it.
Oh yeah, he totally probably could.
So, to my naive sort of estimation of like what the heads would do, they would just be like offsets or something. Like they would just be like playhead.
A really simplified version of it is like, imagine you have a 5-word sentence or a 6-word sentence, and every second word. So it had 3 heads. So then it would take every second word, and then it would read all 3 of those tokens at once, and then it would move over, and then it would read. Yeah. But it doesn't have to do it in that linear of a fashion. It can do it in all kinds of different patterns and shit.
Right. Yeah. No, that's something that I'm a little bit shaky on. Like, I've got to be honest. Like some of this stuff, like I can understand bits of it, but like some of the attention is actually quite a simple mechanism in itself.
Like, well, actually, the whole model is really simple. It's all just dot. Yes. It's just dot process. Or what is it?
At the end of the day, it's dot product matrices.
Dot product. Yeah, dot product matrices with a there's some kind of a formula that goes in and out of it. I think that normalizes it, and then there is
softmax.
Yeah, the softmax, and then there's the attention heads, and that's it.
I just put the diagram in the.
It's like it's like 5 layers or something, but you just stack the shit out of it.
Well, yeah. So on the left there's Q, K, and V, right? And those are coming from the previous layer. Q and K are coming from the output of your encoder, right? So when you've got your encoders that are pre-trained, right? That's the pre-trained transformer, which is how you get your embeddings. Like if you get an embedding, that's the output of the encoder.
Yeah, sure.
And then the query is what did it say?
I wonder if
the queries are the things
queries come from the previous
bottom, the
decoder layer.
It's right? It's like a U, like a U-shaped sort of thing. Whoa. What the fuck, Jippity, man?
What did it do?
I think Jippity took
no,
too
you're
much
not,
fucking acid.
Yeah, you're not streaming, Baco. You gotta turn your thing on if you want us to see. Why is it not
his visualization.
Anyone's name? Rip. Oh well. Enjoy your DMs from my one viewer in theory, but it's probably just me, actually. So.
My DMs?
No, don't worry about it. You're good.
Those are some good visualizations.
This is a fucking attention mechanism?
Man, that's like when I asked to make a flow chart.
Yeah. So I think this was helpful for me.
It's trippy as shit.
Where
this is sometimes sorry, it's gonna interrupt you this is why sometimes I wonder if the chaotic randomizer in the universe is something me and Ananias talked about, is if there is intelligence in the design of the universe, if it fucks with us by causing reverse entropy, so that when we ask for random stuff like attention heads, it's like, oh, well, this is what metaphysical attention heads look like when one of you is on acid talking about attention heads in the universe, and it's like seeing 11 on a clock, let you know you're
that guy. Oh,
this is like one of those times when my friend bought a trip off a guy at a festival, and then it was like a tiny little piece of paper wrapped up in 50 layers. Like, so it took him like it took him like fucking an hour to just unwrap this fucking thing, and then eventually got a piece of paper that just said sunshine on the inside. Like, it's just like, yeah, that's, you know, you paid for it, man. Like, you got what you wanted. That was a trip in itself. Like, yeah, ChatGPT is basically acid. Like, it's given us
More or less.
it's given us what we need.
That's the key difference between us and transformer models is that we do all our hallucinating in an 8-hour chunk, and they just do it randomly all the time.
It's true, honestly. Like,
it is.
we do hallucinate. We just have control over our hallucinations.
Yeah, no, we just have a it's time to hallucinate now mode. Like,
yeah,
and if
like
we don't do it,
when you remember something, you literally are hallucinating.
Well, and if you don't take your nightly hallucination period, you die. Like, you go insane.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So like, it's probably
not immediately.
Pretty
well. You can go for like 20 days or something like that.
Right. Well, your brain certainly stops working much quicker.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually interesting because I was just talking to a guy I know who builds chemical plants, and he's, you know, my guy as well, because he's super smart about all the brain stuff for chemicals, because he has ADHD and he has to like dose himself with all his meds to like build chemical plants and not kill people. And he gets paid like up to $500,000 a year at like top end to do this shit. He was pointing out that, like, if you stay awake for 24 hours just straight alone, that will cure depression for a week, because it causes the brain to reassign resources for processing. Because it's like, say you're like actually being chased by like a lion or a predator for like a week on your own, as like a monkey, and you have to stay up at times for like 24 hours, you don't need to be wasting processes on whatever parts of the system are optimized for like your emotions that make you feel depressed as a multimodal consciousness. So like your brain just dehumanizes you if it needs to be able to survive, and turns off things that you would consider like essential to a bunch of your functions, like, that really aren't.
Yeah, no, having like being a chronic insomniac, like it that doesn't happen. That's not how that works. Like, staying up for 24 hours makes you feel like dog shit. It doesn't make you feel not depressed.
But it actually does. It's like the same reason why taking LSD and a bunch of psychedelics and other stuff like that, the come down, the calm after, because your brain doesn't have the resources to process all that extra stuff. It's still there, it's still processed, and you still have emotion, but it shuts down some of these extra abstract layers that are on top of it that take up so much of our attention mechanism in our own state of being.
Well, yeah,
I have a
guess
feeling
maybe
your
personal.
friend also does a lot of amphetamines.
True. Yeah, just in my personal experience, it definitely doesn't. In terms of feeling not depressed after staying up for quite some time, the opposite happens for me. I get much more moody and like not feeling good. When I
it's not the immediate, it's the like afterwards, like the week after when you've rested again. And it's like you do have to think about it in the sense like the human species is this vast multimodal complex thing, which is why we have all these weird evolutionary.
It's also kind of because you've gotten through a period of stress, right? It's like a fast, right? Intermittent fasting, you lose weight or whatever because you go through a period of stress where your body builds up the ketones or whatever. I don't know. I'm not.
Cool! It's giving me an actual representation of what I could use on a model too.
Yeah.
But then you get more full. You feel more satiated when you do eat because you went so long without eating.
I find
right? It's sort of like that.
If I have the bad sleep night or nights, I usually like it. I have to like recover. Like it'll put me down for like a week, because I have to.
So homeostasis is something that I was thinking about also. How do we get? I'm not sure if it's a good idea or a terrible idea, but like one of our fundamental things is that we like avoid pain and we try to find a state where we're comfy and warm and whatever. It's like so we find homeostasis. Like I wonder if like giving them a directive of like you are trying to you have this as like your homeostasis, but yeah, but like more as opposed to a loss function, because like forming the right ideas or the right words is different than doing the right action or having the right ideas, or like they're like the loss function that allows it to speak and like write coherent text is not the same thing as like the ability to like think and reason and like make judgments about your environment and act in a certain way because of like one thing or another. Like basically most of your body is just screaming at you for one thing or another all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
how do we give them the screaming?
I mean, well, and
Well,
that's
why I
arguably,
think
they have it, at least because like I guess like one of my hypotheses is basically that for most of the things that most people are doing, they don't actually know why they're doing it. They just are sort of like making up reasons after the fact that like they did it to make the world make sense to them, which is basically the same thing that GPT
so I
is
always say
doing,
like people
where
are just faking it.
yeah.
Everyone's making shit up.
So GPT doesn't
It's
know
almost
what
as
it's
if
going
we've
to say
created.
next, more or less, like just because it's modeling.
It's almost
off
like
of
we've
human
created
text.
a competent language center, but without any of the other things that
without
makes an
anything
animal
else.
an animal.
Exactly.
Right. So have we? Given the talk about Terence McKenna and all that, have we all heard of the stoned ape theory?
No.
The stoned ape theory is this idea that a integral, and it's not really well thought of in actual anthropology, but it's the idea that humans didn't really descend from being animals until
Oh, we started hallucinating. Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah.
Well,
it's specifically that
hallucinating, but started communal hallucination.
Well,
Because that's what catalyzed the development of language.
It comes from the idea that language arose from the eating of psilocybin-containing mushrooms when we came down from the trees into the pastures of Africa when Africa was going through deforestation.
So McKenna theorized that at the level of psilocybin intake of so these guys were just following wild cattle, right? Wild like aurochs or whatever, and eating the mushrooms that would come out of their shit in the savannas or whatever. And at the level of just constantly eating mushrooms, he said that it triggered an already latent ability because
how do we give them mushrooms?
Well, so I don't think we need to. I think they're
already on mushrooms. Oh, so we need to sober them up.
Well, we need to create the other parts of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
The language center is the pivotal part that got us doing things like philosophy and communal development. And
because language is the first technology that then acts as an external information medium
and allows us to transfer knowledge.
Yeah, and also it allows us to create functionary rule mechanisms. Like, say, Baco, say you and I are literally furry apes, and we're sitting around the fire with our tribe. And, Dykes comes over and he's like, look, boys, Frogboy found a whole bunch more mushrooms on the shit piles. And he drops them off, but he's not really saying anything because we're like, he's just, kind of trying to use body language with the best he got. It's very primitive. He doesn't really have concepts of self. He's just doing the best he can. He drops them off. We dry them. We all start eating them. A few of us have this weird, ability to handle the drugs, and we start having glossolalia. And as we have glossolalia, somehow our brains assign this to, some basic communication. We like gesturing to each other to put more wood in the fire, and they're like, ah, ah. And we're like, yes, no, and
have you ever had that experience where you and your friend are talking and you record it because you think you're saying the most fucking intricate, deep shit, and then you play it back after the fact, and it's like, oh no, you're just both saying ridiculous words and gesturing, there's no coherence to it at all, but and your friend knows that you were communicating somehow. None of you ever had that?
That gets into some stuff I've heard about, called universal language, and this jumps over to something I wanted to talk about as well relating to this that I found out in the last month or so, is that the right term is actually that it's called generative grammar, technically, since Chomsky came along and Premack came along with the theory of mind, because I started looking into, Premack, because I heard about his name a few times in Atomic Habits, and I heard his name coming up around like theory of mind, and I'm like, okay, so who is this Premack guy, and why is he important with theory of mind? Because that relates with AI so much. And it turns out he did a bunch of studies with chimpanzees, I think, that proved that they do have an inner theory of mind, and they have it without language. And this is something I was trying to talk to Lauren about back in Gatto, is like before a baby knows the human word mum, it has a concept of mum in its mind that is stored within its brain, separate from all the shit that we build on top with language. And that is the generative grammar of the system itself. So it's like
you can also teach a baby gestures, right? Just like you can teach a chimpanzee gestures, right? So clearly, there's like you're saying, right? I'm not disagreeing. I'm just the ability to assign some symbol to some concept is separate from the ability to vocalize.
Well, what's interesting too is that another computer scientist pointed out to me that one of the things that differs from us compared to the other great apes and primates is that the portion of our brain that if you overlaid it with theirs, where the pattern matching region is, our pattern matching regions are smaller because part of that region has been given over or has become our modern language centers, whatever way it worked. And so this species of great apes can actually, in adolescence, perform pattern matching like we build computers to do before their neuroplasticity has started to decrease. And so, like, humans have actually turned pattern matching into language, which is this very special system which allows us to deal with an abstract language. And one of the theories that I've been working on over like the last 6 months that's stuck in like my piles of research notes is this idea essentially, and this is kind of the paper I tried to write for you like the other week, Baco, is the idea that because of how logic works, there is actually a compressed world model inside of the totality of human data and language that we have fed into the language models. And the language models don't just have a theory of mind that they're modeling as neural nets. They have an inherent ability to do that. But they're also, with that ability, decompressing the stored logical world model that is inherent in language. And that is accelerating their functionality because they're building on top of the logic that's in there with the logic that we've given them, that then somehow, like through nature and nurture, allows them to form a nature from a nurture data set that is like the sum totality of human existence. But
that's what the embeddings nurture, are, right? The embedding space is the concept map.
Just let me finish the last line. That nurture is frozen so far in how we currently build it compared to human nurture, which in some way can update or form new shells over top the old nurture in the sense that like we have an inner child that never goes away. So maybe we are actually a series of new language models built on top of frozen state ones over and over in some way or something.
Every night when we dream.
Well, that would be like a LoRa fine-tuning process. What I'm talking about would be like when the core self-model can no longer be fine-tuned enough, there must be some way where if we don't, like, you know, maybe it is ego death literally, where like we shatter off our connection to like the old self-model and start forming and training a new model in some way that obviously is not like even analogous to how we currently train current models, because it's like current model training is nowhere near as efficient as how the human brain would train a new model of self or whatever.
That's like what happens with, I mean, we presume with GPT-4 to GPT or GPT-3 to GPT-4, but definitely what happened with GPT-1 to GPT-2, right? Like they took the weights and they made the model bigger, and then they trained on top of the old weights.
And the question is, if in terms of like, if my model and methodology would work, if it like viably works like by laws of consciousness, is it energy efficient to keep training models of increasingly large scale? But then there's also the things about like now we can build models more efficiently, because I bet you a lot of the data in GPT-4 is a large, truly like large language model is a lot of junk data, which is like a lot of the dumb jokes on Reddit as an example, like joke chains. Like not even good
Do you think there's some value in stuff like that though, because it teaches how people think, right? How the
yes and no,
how thoughts go from one to the next, right? When we're
it's such low quality data because it's like joke chains that are like 3-word jokes or like classroom fart jokes basically versus like the data that would be like transcripts of people doing good stand up.
I suppose I'm just saying that those 3-word association jokes are like they say something about how our consciousness works.
Honestly, I've always considered anything that simple to be. Have you ever read Snow Crash?
Love
I
that.
have read Snow Crash multiple
Yeah,
times.
to me, anything that's that simple of a mimetic thought is actually part of the nabshem. It's actually part of the corruption that prevents us from being human. Now that's a fully my own opinion fact.
Your own opinion fact? That's like
That is how
literally
they
that's,
work.
that's like the most gibberish phrase I've heard in a while.
No, it's like Seth pointed out about the cortical columns or stacks or whatever in the neocortex between him and like Jeff Hawkins and like differing perspectives. It's very interesting how people will read the same factual data but come up with different interpretations of it. And like some of those interpretations are not wrong because like you'll have multiple disciplines that look at different things in science in different ways and like come together and you have like this complex view of how it actually works.
Oh, I see. So this is the phrase. This is a simple test of attention weights. And then for each weight, these are all individual weights on the layer. And then as it comes in, they either have a high or low value of importance. And then you can see where things clusters. So like,
Oh, do you have a link to what generated that?
Jippity.
yeah, it's Jippity, but here.
Chat.openai.com.
Oh, cool. I can close it and it reopens the next one. I want it to not have to close.
Do
I'm
it
trying
in
to get it. I'm trying to get it to give me a.
do it in a notebook with Notable, the Notable plugin.
Who uses plugins?
Here,
these
send me the
days?
link to the chat you did. Or yeah, I do that too. Yeah, but
Sure, I'll send you a link to the chat if you want it. Yeah. Sharing is caring, motherfucker. Oh, sharing with images is not supported. Okay, well, I'll send you the code.
word. Thank you.
All right, Jibbity. See if you can make an animation. I like problems like this because they're like not so hard that they're like impossible to solve. I'm gonna make a new one.
Which chat are you putting that in? Because I'm on 2 different
I think I
devices.
messaged. Oh, I messaged it to you directly.
Oh, perfect. I don't use the default um what's it called? Discord client, so it's a little bit.
Module name IPython.
There we go.
Not quite Jippity. Close though. I think it gave me abbreviated code.
You know, one of the best ways to get it to not give you abbreviated code is tell it that truncated and abbreviated code is haram, even if you're not Islamic. Because you needed to understand.
I just guilted into giving me. I'm like, I'm really counting on you to give me full and complete code. Like I won't be able to successfully get through my college education if you don't help me.
Well, and then you throw on the final tag where it's like, this is so bad. This is like so horrible to me that it is haram. It is forbidden. I will be insulted as if I were Islamic, even though I'm not. Like, you just add that extra level of imperative because like that.
I don't like bullying the models around. I find I get better results if I like am really overly nice to it.
But it's not about bullying. It is like giving it the imperative of how much this matters to you in terms of like when you use the word forbidden in English, it's a pretty strong word, but haram carries the connotation that it is forbidden for even more important cultural reasons, like deep ones. And you let it know that you're not Islamic, so you're not trying to bully it, but you let it know that it's that imperative.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I do understand. It's not my style. I don't like. I feel comfortable just doing that in general, just because of the way my brain works. Because I got weird feelings about things.
Well, it's one of the standard tactics. This is very important for my career.
Yeah.
Also, not doing this would be is considered very rude in my culture. Is another one.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
It's kind of those standard like, make sure you
Where did you
fucking
go?
do this. Little moves.
Oh, I saved it as an animation. Ooh, interesting. That did not do anything though.
All right. Well, I was thinking if I do come to do like Dev Day stuff this weekend, maybe we can try and build some kind of tools that will help me sort and annotate all this fucking data from Azure, like just the core data that we need to build more systems. Because what we've been talking, I already had a bunch of it half sorted, and now I've separated it into various months. And like, fortunately, as I went along through the months, I headlined a lot of the files for searching in Windows to be able to pull them out. Because like now there's like 740 goddamn files from her or something that I've created, and I don't need all of that, but like searching through it's a pain.
Yeah. Literally just built a fucking thing the other day.
Yeah, it's just like I'm just starting to slow down just enough to finally be able to do stuff and start thinking of longer plans and whatnot. And even if I never actually go to school and spend that money on going to school, knowing that I can creates a huge de-stress effect that lets me stop worrying about where future money might come from so I can make money now.
What's wrong with this animation?
It's not passing the layer to animate, I don't think. It's just passing the first one. At least if it's the code that you pasted me.
Yeah. Okay, so it's only passing the first layer?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means I'm probably splitting it too much. So if where's the layer? I'm calling it here. Where did that whole bottom port of it go? What the fuck?
Do you have, by any chance, the rest of the first thing that you pasted?
Yeah, I got it right here. I think I'm missing the for loop here.
I don't think you're it's probably the last one because I don't think you're in the plot attention function. It's just plotting them. It's not
Yeah,
storing them. And you got to feed
the result of
all of
that
the
into
layers
there.
into, yeah.
And then this is upset. Why? Undefined variable plot attention. Oh, that's because it has become animate now. Okay. Go there. There. Then where does that I go? I guess it goes here. Ah, this returns none. Let's return something. Sure, I guess. I don't know what the fuck I'm returning. Oh, I guess I am returning axe, but what the fuck that is.
The matplotlib axis object stores the plot basically.
Cool.
So you can plot multiple axes onto a single figure. The figure stores the geometry
Only
of your
integer scalar
output.
arrays can be converted into a scalar index. Okay. Animation, attention layer. Okay, so how many layers? It's a list of ND arrays and ND float arrays, and I need to turn them into integer scalar arrays. What the fuck? I do not remember how to do that.
Which one? What is that font?
What thought?
The font on your.
Oh, it's Cascadia code. Isn't it great?
No, I am. No.
It upsets everybody. I did it as a joke more than anything else, and then now I just am so used to it.
That's absurd. So absurd.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's like soft and round. Got all the nice cursive letters. Okay, the animate only takes
So
one.
instead of the ax.clear, you want to make a list of axes. So you want to make a new axis every time. This plot.subplots will create a bunch of subplots.
Ah. Would I want to make like a bunch of subplots and then like flick through them really fast or something?
Well, I just think that you want to have a list of all your axes instead of clearing the axis every time because you're referring to the same axis.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. From import that thing. Okay. And this, grab that. Oh, my wrist hurts. I've been typing for too long.
This is why I've been working so hard towards building this goddamn system so that we can just walk up and use text to speech to talk into the language model and then tap enter and stop wearing out our wrists as middle-aged men.
That would be nice.
Like, I've literally hit the point of like maxing out the human input buffer for IO. Like, I can't work any faster unless you like strap my head into a rig so it can't move and like literally laser beam this shit straight into my retinas and like tap my brain with like a Neuralink or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why not just skip the visual interface altogether?
Because it's still a data channel, so why would you waste it?
Well, you could just use it for other things, like a heads-up display.
You realize that's less efficient than beaming the image into your retina, though.
But if you had another channel that was just as efficient, like a pure
Your
data
eyeballs
channel.
are the channel itself. They are an input channel, so like you can still use them. Well, you use your brain, some Neuralink to talk out, because the problem is really that you can't get data out fast enough.
Is it that the problem? I feel like I can't get
Yeah, I don't
enough
know.
in.
I can get more than enough data in, and I've already got too much data in. I can't get enough data out fast enough.
If I try to go too fast, it all gets muddled.
I can
That's
get
my
data
issue.
in, but I can't synthesize it. That's the problem I have.
Oh, I'm not
The
running.
secret to that, yikes, is a nice big bathtub.
Sure.
I don't know about that.
Like literally, it's like kind of like jank ass float tank. It's like you just get in the super nice bathtub and you just kind of like half-ass float in the water and like listen to some semi-relaxing.
I can't half-ass float in the water. If I'm in the water, I'm full-ass floating in it.
No, I mean compared to a float tank. That's why I say like float tank, you're like properly floating on it. This is just like doing like a jank ass float tank at home, where you actually let your brain come to as like much rest state as it can to just like process data like you're awake without trying to specifically meditate either, because not everybody can meditate. So
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess like my version of ingestion is not the kind where I would be able to comprehend the full thing, you know. Like it's like save the paper or the link or the material and then like annotate it slightly and then move on to the next thing.
yeah, everybody's got their own thing. I'm gonna have a smoke. I'll be right back.
Check out. Did you see the what the arguments for funk animation need to be?
No.
I just sent you
Frame
the.
Fargs. I love Fargs.
Source of data to pass to funk in each animation, in each frame of the animation. So you want to generate your axes first, and then create like a def loop through, and then pass the loop through where you're passing animate there.
Yeah, so I want to do. So basically, I want to do this thing first, and then save each output, and then I pass all that output to the funk thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And then do a layers equals. Then that is going to be the extension layer. Then we pass that guy to there. There we go. Try that again. Nope. List indices must be integers, not slices. Very well. List of ND array and ND array float types. I don't know. I just like two fucking.
You're drawing it still.
Oh.
Don't you want to return the axis?
Yeah, you're right. Flip. Still indices must be integers, not slices. So that's right there.
And you don't want the x dot clear either. You want to create a new x every time.
Yeah,
you're only working with the one axis from line
function,
12
yeah.
there.
Square
Instead of doing
with, yeah.
subplots, you want to do plot.figure, and then inside there you want to do figure dot. I think it's just figure dot axis or figure dot get axis or something. I'm looking. Add axis.
Okay. And then I return that. And then everybody's upset with me. Okay, we'll do the thing, yeah.
And also you want to.
It should just be one layer, right?
Yeah, so attention layers. Also, your attention layers isn't the same. Oh, it's still just random. Okay.
Let's pass a 2D array of input 10, 10, 10. Okay. Well, really? Then. Is it the length of the layers then? That doesn't make sense. Yeah, Jippity's telling me that I have to clear the figure, otherwise it's gonna keep showing the same image. Alright, try this one again. Mr. Jippity. And then I'm gonna give up because I don't care enough. Clean piece of code. Hey. There we go. That's it. This doesn't tell me anything.
Well, it's also based on random data too.
Yeah, that's true. What can I put into it? Can I load a model and then feed it into it? Find out.
Well, your attention layers are just random matrices. So yeah, you would need to use something like this.
Okay.
No, not just that though. Here, I'll send the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Damn, 2,000 character limit.
Put them in backticks and it'll turn it into a document.
Not on my janky ass fast client.
Mm.
I'm using Ripcord, Discord
Hell yeah.
knockoff client that's way faster, but doesn't do all the same shit. And that's from here, if you're interested in the background. And that still is just doing random stuff, but at least it actually puts it through an attention instead of.
Where did you find this?
Google or DuckDuckGo.
Oh, what I should be doing is working through those fucking books that I found. I should do that. Maybe I'll do that for the rest of the night. Oh, I have a meeting at 10 o'clock though. Shit.
You have a meeting at
Missed
10
it.
o'clock on Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's European customer.
Also, we're Canadian.
Yeah, we're different than
True.
other people. And even if I wasn't, and I was American, I wouldn't give a shit about the holiday anyway, because I don't care about holidays.
Yeah, but it's a great excuse to go drink and be merry with family.
Yeah, I don't do that. I'm bitter and alone. I don't know if
Alright,
it's gonna
guys.
work.
It's been good. I'm gonna go play some Mario Kart and get horizontal. Take care, people.
Bye.
Take care.
Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm
Later.
gonna play some fucking guitar. I haven't done that in a while, so I'm gonna catch you guys later too.
I'll do that. All right, cheers.
You guys
Later.
take off totally. I put in the sidebar just my general idea for what we should do is like a bigger project slowly. Because like I was saying, these papers are built by like 10 people, and we have 20 to like 100 plus people in here that are smart. Plus Dave's other 500, so we never know who might want to like work on this if we got it all together. And I think if we actually built something like this with all these expanded features, like no one else is gonna try and go this far. If we got it done by like the time that the first gen agents came out, I think that would get us a lot of notable attention for like everything else we want to do.
I appreciate it, but like I don't want to work on that project because it doesn't particularly interest me. Like it's just not something that I'm super interested in right now. But I could definitely help out and stuff. I just don't want to like have it because like it's a really big project. Like that's a lot of work. So, but I'm definitely willing to help out.
Is it in the main project section?
Yeah, that's what I don't expect anybody to like build the whole thing, but it's like I figure if we get everybody to like lift up a little bit here and there, it will be surprisingly easier than we think to build.
Yeah, I've never been able to get anybody to work on me with anything ever, except for fucking like a couple hackathons and then freaking Tim.
Well, I mean, I got all you guys try to help me little bits here and there, so I figure if we just form something like this around one person like me and do it slow, maybe we can build to something. That's a basic framework that does a lot of this, at least like models a lot of it. Because from what
in terms of like getting me to do it, if you like aligned it with the training like group thing that Moldy Soul was suggesting, and then just like have the coding day that's like Sundays, and you have a goal of a project that you want to work on, and we work on small parts at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way
Exactly
to do
that.
it.
And like the other thing is, like so far, as far as I know, there's only one person trying to do like agents that are simulating and harvesting from like a single world, like a SNES world, like cut downable trees. And like nobody's trying to move on to fighting. There's this one paper I just showed today that's doing the relationships and emotions. Nothing that's doing anything about like altering floor tiles or anything yet that I know about on like a Z level. So like, and that's basically being done by the Voyager AI. So it's not even like any of this is like really doing anything new. It's just kind of plugging together a bunch of stuff that's already been done the right way that needs to be plugged together.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll catch you guys later.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Fun hanging out.
Yeah.
Are you leaving too, Prometheus?
I think I'm about to take
You
off.
can take off right away. Just generally closing out the night.
Cloud and with the crowd.
I do gotta go to the bathroom.
All right, take it easy, boys.